Hi, I'm Charlie Saba, and I'm here to show you how to make Acquasale al Pomodoro con la Cipolla Rossa, which is the poor man's bread or the contadini's bread of bruschetta of Basilicata, which was also known in Roman times as Lucania, and the people of Basilicata are known as I Lucani, un Lucano. Mia famiglia è di origine lucana, which my family is the origin of the people of Basilicata, and I am actually more in love with the food and landscape and people of Basilicata. This bruschetta is the poor man's bruschetta. It was the contadini, the farmers, which most everybody in Basilicata was farmers or did the pasture with the sheep, and they would go out into the fields, and old bread, they would use a day old bread, 8 days old bread, but they would keep the bread hard, and what they do is take it and dip it in the water and put the pomodoro. You need a tomato and a nice red onion, a little extra virgin olive oil, and it never hurts to have a little Aglianico del Vulture, which is the good wine of Basilicata, the Vulture region, which is my favorite, because you always cook better and make art better and sing better if you use a little wine. Now, to tell you something about Basilicata before I get into this, it's the cleanest, most beautiful region in Italy and on the planet, and that is only my own expertise opinion. You can have your own opinion, but I happen to love it there. It is true. I'm exaggerating a little, but it is true that it's very beautiful and full of forests and full of mountains. My family comes from a town called San Fele, which is right above Potenza, 3,000 feet, sits 3,000 feet up on a mountain with the most cleanest air and the beautifulest farmlands and the abundance of made in Italy products, which are the best. And on our YouTube channel, we like to promote the very healthy Italian Mediterranean diet, and this is an easy one that can take 1 minute to make and eat. But one thing about the descendants of these old farmers from back in the day is that they still have a nice laid-back country attitude, mountain people attitude. And for example, they take life slowly, like a slow food kind of attitude. And after lunch, you take a little riposo, a nice, what Americans know better as a siesta in Spanish, but it's a riposo. You take a little 15-minute nap, not more because you won't wake up. Little 15-minute nap after your lunch, and the farmers used to eat their lunch and drink a little glass of Aglianico or wine, and then take a nice rest in the shade, because that sun was always above them. And the sun in the Basilicata, they believe, could be a friend, it could be a foe for the farmer, because sometimes it was so hot it burned your head and your crops, but sometimes it was your friend, and it gave us nutrient, it helped the crops grow. And just to tell you real quick before I get into this about this nice laid-back attitudes, not only in southern Italy or Basilicata, but it's all over Italy, and it contributes to the Mediterranean diet. And they take everything in stride, and they're a little less stressed out than Americans and the Brits and the Germans. And this is why the healthy Mediterranean diet is so superior and proven time and time again. Doctors and experts like to push the Mediterranean diet because of the health it promotes. So when the Germans were still in the upper part of Italy, the Nazis, and the Americans and the Brits freed up the southern part, the Germans held after the Hitler line was in Monte Cassino, right near Pontecorvo, Lazio. And then above that, the Germans were there, and for example, there was a captain, an Italian captain of the army that was sent up there to translate. So every day he'd be late, and Germans are never late. They're so punctual. And this guy was late every day, 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. He's supposed to get there at 6 in the morning. He'd show up at 8. Finally, one day he shows up at 9, and the lieutenant and the captain of the Nazi captain screams at him, "What are you doing? You're supposed to be here at 6." He said, "What's the problem?" He said, "Something could have happened." The Italian says, "Did something happen?" He says, "No." He says, "So what's the problem, right?" And it's kind of a good attitude, not telling you to be late for work, because obviously we'll be fired, but the whole idea of taking life slow, eating slow, slow food, cibo slow, it's a movement in Italia. Wet the bread a little bit, or you sprinkle it, and then you sit it here, then simply They cut nice thin slices. Put it right on the bread. Then I'm gonna put a few more of these nice red, delicious looking onion. The onion adds such a nice flavor. Little sal, not too much, because too much sal is not that good. And then a nice piece of basil, and the colors are always important in food. I'm gonna even put a nice big piece of basil on that one. Nice fresh basil makes such a difference. But the colors and the presentation is so important when you give it to your guests. They're gonna love it. They're gonna love you for this. Another very important part of the Mediterranean diet, the Italian Mediterranean diet especially, is extra virgin olive oil. You put a little olive oil on top. Gives it that nice golden touch from the olive oil. And here you have it. The Acquasale al Pomodoro con la Cipolla Rossa from Basilicata.